You're listening to the Inspired Mom MDs Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Cindy Van Prague. I help physician moms take back control of their time and energy so they can prioritize what matters most and thrive at work and home. In each episode, I bring honest conversations, inspiring stories, and practical strategies, including interviews with incredible women who are redefining success on their own terms. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for returning back to Inspired Mom MDs Podcast. Today, I am joined by a new guest, Dr. Farah Deshmukh, a dual board-certified physician in internal medicine and obesity medicine. She completed her residency through a Columbia University-affiliated program and later pursued a fellowship in obesity medicine and nutrition at Northwell Health. She now serves as director of the Obesity and Lifestyle Medicine program at Hackensack Meridian Health and is core faculty for an internal medicine residency program. But alongside her work as a physician, Dr. Farah has also followed a creative path. Inspired by her own children and the food environments they encountered in daycare and school, she began writing children's books to help kids build a healthier mindset around food from an early age. Today, we're talking about not only why those early messages around food matter, but also what it really looks like for a busy doctor mom to bring her creative ideas to life through writing. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so happy to have you, Dr. Farah.
Thank you for having me.
So, as I just mentioned, you're an expert in internal and obesity medicine, and you're part of a residency program. But we're talking about your creative path today, which brings our conversation back to childhood. So, tell us a little about your story. What made you realize that we need to start thinking about this mindset around food a little bit earlier than we maybe typically do?
Yeah, so the funny thing is, I have had no experience with kids or babies prior to having my first child. So it was primarily how things kind of rolled after I got out of residency, got into my fellowship, obesity and nutrition, which is always an area that I was very interested in. And it was for the first time that I was actually doing nutrition counseling rather than just signing a referral to registered dietitian for my patients. And I would sit down with patients, talk through this, counsel them over and over again, and just the basic things. And at the same time, I had this baby at home who was growing, trying out different things. And it made me realize that as a parent, I do have a certain role in my child's life when it comes to what I put on their plate, right? But at the same time, can I control all of it or some of it, right? So when I heard about things like the pediatric obesity rates, this is primarily from the fact that I was studying for my obesity medicine boards. I was doing so much about research work and statistics. I was also doing my master's in public health, where I took a nutrition course. And there is where I learned statistics. And it was very shocking and disheartening to see that pediatric obesity rates are going up. We are seeing fatty liver disease and everything in pediatric population, which is very hurtful in a way as a mom, especially as a first-time mother. And that's when I believe the mindset piece of it kind of started setting in for me, that I was counseling my patients about all these are adult patients because of internal medicine. At the same time, I have the child at home who is going to grow and eventually eat whatever they want, right? That was kind of the mindset piece. I guess that's what the seed would be, I guess, to start off.
So you were learning all about the statistics and the impact on adults, and you're like, wait a minute. What about this little baby I have at home who's going to have their own choices in the future? What can you do about that now? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so it was that piece of it that And also looking at back in my own childhood growing up, we had certain things in our house that were just a part of our life. It was very
Mm-hmm.
normal to open my freezer and find, let's say, red meat in there, right? That's
Yeah.
just culturally how I grew up.
Yeah.
um, and when I talk to my patients and I tell them, look, I want you to start switching this to this, and they look at me all confused, like, what are you talking about? This is how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand now, but back then I did not, that this is how life has been for them. And this is how their childhood has changed their mindset. And now they are 50, 60-year-old coming in trying to fix their diabetes and obesity. But the core actually started way before. And that whole realization as a mom makes you think that, oh my God, can I do something about this?
That's such an interesting point. So I'm thinking about how you grew up definitely influences what you eat 5, 6 decades later, but also there's a cultural aspect to it. So what food was in your house? And of course that would carry on too. And you remind me when I was little, I would eat Pop-Tarts for breakfast. And that was just, I think my mom was at work. I was a latchkey kid. So I think I got myself out in the morning, got myself in it in the afternoon, and I just ate whatever I wanted. I just grazed. But yeah.
Yeah.
So looking forward, when we talk about helping kids today set a new mindset, what does that actually look like in real life? Like what does that mean? Yeah.
Experience being
Mm-hmm.
a mom for the child is, if they see their parent ordering takeout, for example, very often, I guess that becomes a part of their life, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you my child example. On Fridays, they have pizza, not pizza days at daycare. So it's like, hey, mom, can you get me pizza? So, you can order the takeout every now and then. The pizza is coming every now and then, but then they normalize it. They think that, oh, every Friday I should be getting Domino's
Yeah.
or Pizza Hut, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the same time, how can I tackle that piece as a mom who's trying to get my kid to eat right? So in my personal case, what I started doing was make my own pizza. But as a busy mom, it's often hard to start from scratch, right? So I would do things like I would get a pita bread and I would put my own
Mm-hmm.
toppings on it. And I would get my kid involved, and that, I think I have two boys, but I don't know if that changes anything there. But I tried to get them more in the kitchen and try, not them, I should say, my younger one is only one. My older one now is 4, but he
Mm-hmm.
is the one who got me into the whole creative book writing piece of it. And
Oh,
now I get him more involved in the kitchen, do this, do that, make it more playful for him. I guess, in the grand scheme of things, if you think about it, as moms, we have a big role, or as parents, I should say, we do have a very huge role in changing the mindset of our kids from the
mm-hmm.
beginning. Now, things change over time, right? I don't know if my child will continue to eat quote unquote healthy 10 years down the line. And that piece of it, again, would start somewhere here. You will start learning about it. One piece that I feel that really hit me was when my child came home and said, I want goldfish. I said, I have never even had goldfish in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I knew at that point that as a baby, I had so much control, so much love for this little human being, and I'm doing everything to control everything around him and do everything right. But then you get this sudden sense of quote unquote loss of control. I cannot actually control everything that's in his life. But I learned to make peace with it, that you cannot control what your child would eat as a teenager. In college, you know how we ate garbage in college. Let's be honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
cannot control that piece of it. But at the same time, I said, look, I can't do anything about the goldfish. I can't do anything about the granola bars. They will be there. But can I teach my child the basics, the very basics of making the right choice?
Mm-hmm.
And that, I feel, is where kind of the thought came that, oh, maybe I could do something about this.
Mm-hmm. That is such a great point that kids as young as 4 are exposed to food at their daycare, at their school, and they will always be exposed to those foods, all these different unhealthy options. You're right. It's out of your control. You can't reach in and tell the people at the school don't serve this. And
Yeah,
maybe that would be a disservice, if you took away all of that, because then kids wouldn't know that they need to make their own healthy
absolutely.
choices.
Yeah.
And it really sounds like you're modeling how to do that at home and not putting a lot of extra pressure on them by saying, I have not heard you once say, that is bad, don't do that. What I've heard you say is that you're modeling healthy behaviors for your kids.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it's something important. And just looking at the statistics, you can say that we really need to do something about this. And
Hmm.
it's not only the pediatric statistics, but also the adult statistics. And
Yes.
like I was saying
Yes.
earlier, this is something that started years ago that they
Right.
have adapted over time. And I also felt as I was going through this process of kind of reflecting on all of this few years ago when I started doing this, is it's the small things that are happening. It's the small, I guess, the fried things that your mom or someone is cooking every day or something of that
Mhm.
sort. These are very subtle changes that become a part of our life, and we don't notice it until there's a big change out
Yeah.
there. And it's more about how do we get, and kids are very smart. That's the other piece I like.
That's true.
They're very smart.
Yes.
Even as a 2-year-old, you tell them something and they would actually catch on to your words and go on and do something with it. And you would be just
Hmm.
shocked with them. But that's where it was, for my particular case, it was my kid's love for reading. He has been obsessed with books and
Mm.
the bright colors, board books from a very young age, and started reading quite early based on what his teachers tell me. And it was my whole house would be filled with just children's book everywhere.
Yeah.
And for me, it was that piece that if I can leverage that to
Hmm.
teach my child how to eat or
Hmm.
what better choices to make when it comes to food, I would like to do that. But
Yes.
of course, I had absolutely no background in publishing or whatever. So I thought, well, this is not for me. I'm just going to talk with them and try to teach them. But that didn't really go well.
So tell us how you did transition. What made you step into actually writing one of those books that's in your house?
Yes, I guess, it was multiple things. So
Hmm.
I'm going every day to work. I'm doing my obesity medicine fellowship and talking to my patients, and I'm counseling them right and left, like you need to make better choices and this and that. And then coming home and I'm trying to make food choices for myself, my family, my kid. And I'm trying to make choices in my head, what to buy for grocery, kind of
Yeah.
that whole mindset over there. At the same time, I hear my child say that I ate goldfish at school, which is infuriating. But like you said, I'm not going to go to the school and I'm not going to be one of those parents that you can't give goldfish to my child by the rest of the class.
Hmm.
No way.
Right.
So I thought, let me search this up. And I'll be very honest, I'm very thrifty. I did not plan on spending a lot of money on looking into publishers and things
Okay.
like that, the traditional path. Not that I knew anything about a traditional path,
Hmm.
but then I just searched it up, how to write children's book, or I looked at some of the children's book that my kid was reading at the back, who are the publishers, started searching these things up. We kind of started just learning how this goes. We are physicians, we learn things. So digging into it, I came across Amazon KDP. Again, I'd never heard of it. So I started looking into it and I went on YouTube. There's so much on YouTube. It's crazy that we didn't know about. So there are tutorials on how to go about the whole process, how to get the book published out. And I said, let me do this. I had some PTO time off between ending my fellowship and starting my job. So I took this complete PTO for several weeks. I said, okay, I want to learn this. I want to do this. It seems like fun. And I started my draft actually. So it depends. If you want to just write a simple book, you can just go in MS Word and write up your book and make a PDF. but I wanted the bright colors because that's what my child liked, the bright colors, the
Mhm.
paintings and something. So I tried a PowerPoint that didn't go well. It was a very, very strong learning curve, I should say. So I eventually found Canva. So that worked really well because you can get an illustrator. You can get a publisher. You can look into that piece of it. But I specifically wanted to try Amazon KDP because I wasn't investing anything in there. And this was really kind of an experiment for me. So I made my draft on Canva, went on KDP, did some more learning, uploaded my file. It got rejected. It got rejected again. It got rejected again.
Oh,
And it was got rejected mostly for technical reasons, which I'd never learned this stuff.
can
So
I
it got
interject? Yeah,
yeah.
can you explain what Amazon KDP is? Because that's what was
Okay.
giving you the rejections. Is that right? Just real quick so
Yes.
people
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
understand. Yeah.
So Amazon KDP, basically, Amazon has a self-publishing tool, a website that you
Mhm.
can go to. It can be anybody, really. If you want to publish novels, you want to publish children's books. I think some people even do worksheets, calendars, really anything is really about if you have a self-publishing, if you have an idea and you want to publish it yourself, you can try KDP. The full
Okay.
form, I believe, is Kindle Direct Publishing. The K, I'm not sure, but it's for
Okay.
self-publishing.
Okay.
Direct
Yeah.
for self-publishing.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
so yeah, so I went on that, uploaded my Canva file, got
Mhm.
rejected. Why did it get rejected? Because my dimensions were incorrect.
Okay.
So messed around with the numbers again, paid for Canva this time. Again, the numbers got rejected. It was and the rejection is so funny that it got rejected for 0.001 million. That kind of a thing. Then I learned about the term called bleed, which is basically
Mhm.
if you're uploading a whole picture on your whole page and it's going outside a certain outline, when it gets printed there's a certain cut that they will do, and they get concerned that it will cut your image even though
Yeah.
the image is supposed to be on the whole page. But I learned through the process, again, trial and error, trial and error. By the time I had started my work, so things got delayed a lot. So I would just leave it. I would come back to it on my bad days, to be very honest with you. When this
Oh.
was my first job, and this is the first time I was seeing patients in 20 minutes, and it was not residency, it was not fellowship. I was really hitting a point of burnout multiple times. I didn't know anything about billing. I was learning the billing process. I didn't know what RVUs were. I was learning all that. It was such a whirlpool for me coming out of training, never learning the basics of how medicine, the business side of medicine actually works, that I felt I was hitting burnout, and I was not even realizing it because, again,
Yeah.
we don't get taught much about burnout as trainees.
Yeah.
Um, so every time I would take some time off just for my mental peace, I would go on Canva, edited my file again, uploaded it, edited it again, uploaded it. And eventually I emailed them saying, can you please help me with this? Because Amazon basically puts your book through a quality process. And it was at the quality clearance that they were blocking me, saying that you have subtle errors here and
Yeah.
there that you need to fix. But eventually it went through. And I was shocked when I got that email that, wow, is this for real? I went to Amazon and was like, wow, this looks for real. It is just such a surreal moment that did I actually do this?
Right.
Because you learn the whole process from the beginning to the end. And I still wouldn't. I was like, okay, let me get an author's copy. Let me see what actually this is. And the feeling of getting your first author's copy in your hand and actually seeing your imagination, your thoughts come to life, I could not describe it. Just to tell you what the book was about. So, my first book that I did was actually teaching the difference between processed food and unprocessed food. So, whole food and processed food. Another little thing that I learned along the process was when I initially made the book, the number of pages, I believe, were 17 or 16. It covered a little topic about how apple is whole food. Then you have apple juice, which is processed, and then further processing, ultra processed, is basically what you get in the supermarket where you have added sugar and additives and other things. So I was teaching difference. The main page is actually an apple, a happy smiling apple. Then I have a juice, glass juice, and then I have a bottle from like supermarket. It's all just cartoonish. When I had that book in my hand, I saw the colors, the bright colors and everything. It was just a very surreal feeling. Then I gave it to my kid and he read it and he read it again and read it again.
Oh.
Actually, one thing I forgot to mention was it was 17 pages and Amazon KDP didn't accept it for 17 pages. They needed more. So now I had to sit and think about another topic to add to it just to, I believe the cutoff is 24 pages, 28 pages. So I added a vegetable this time. It was a potato, how you can make frying potatoes is quote unquote unhealthy versus baking it or steaming it. It really, really pushed me to think creatively. And I love that piece of it. And I feel as physicians, we like the little challenge. Within us, it's very innate to us and we enjoy it. And I was able to get my mind away from everything that I was doing at work and actually get this going. Um, so when my child read that book, again, it was done mostly for my kid. I didn't have any business idea or anything in mind. I did it exclusively just for his learning purposes. And over time, I realized that, okay, maybe I can do more. I ended up writing another book and then another and kind of just really enjoyed the process and probably got good at it.
Oh, yes. And it was a process that helped you through some periods of burnout too.
It certainly did. Yes.
I'm really curious, when you handed the book to your child, did you tell him mommy wrote this, or did you just want to see his reaction?
I actually, no, so I made the book with him. Oh, I forgot to tell you that
Oh,
part.
okay.
So when I
Okay.
was making the Canva book, I actually had him next to me and I said, oh, where do you want me to put the apple? What should we write? And it was such a cute
Oh,
little mom-son moment that I'll never
oh,
forget it. And actually, when I wrote my name, I don't think I wanted to give his real name. So I think I wrote his
mhm.
initial. So yeah, he was very involved in the process. And I said, this is our book. This is our book. So when I got that printed and he read that, he was all excited. And when I was writing, he actually would be like, oh, whenever we were thinking about a second book, he would come and be like, Mama, can we work on that? Can we do this? He would get all excited about it. So it was, again, I'm not, a pediatrician or I don't understand child psychology, but even working with him on the book, when he would tell me certain words, for example, that he wouldn't understand, it would tell me that, oh, I need to probably make this simpler because this
Right.
child doesn't understand it.
Oh my goodness. You may be creating a little writer in your house. And now I wonder too, with your second child, who's only one, but if they're going to want to write books too. Oh, that's just beautiful. That touches my heart that you wrote it
Aw,
together. Oh my goodness. So
yeah.
you wrote this for for both of your children, really, and you're writing more and more books. Is there money in this pursuit of writing, do you think?
So the money piece of it, well,
Yeah.
I would say from my perspective, not really.
Yeah.
Don't do it for the money, I would say. And if you're looking to write, say, a novel that you want to sell for $100, then yes, you can adjust your commission or something on Amazon. It lets you do that. And you can, if you want to sell a novel, which is a simple book, there's no premium colors or bright images or anything in it, then fine. Maybe if you sell a couple thousand copies, you'll make money off of it. But when it comes to the children's book, I chose the premium quality, which is the most expensive one that they have. And the reason being was that I had the bright colors and everything going in there, and I wanted it specifically good quality from that purpose. The big cut goes to Amazon, and you might get a little bit. So really, it's not about the money piece of it,
Mhm.
unless, of course, you're working, like I said, on a big novel and you want to price it at a high point and sell it for that and make a good commission. There are people who do make a livelihood out of this. But in my opinion, when it comes to just the point about creating, you're getting your creative voice out, writing a children's book, making it nice and bright, and actually expecting money from, I would say, maybe not. But
Yeah.
I will tell you from the satisfaction perspective, like I said, I didn't have a grand business plan or something doing this.
Mhm.
I did it more to connect with my son, to teach him something. But then I was talking with one of my co-fellow during my fellowship, and I was telling her, like, hey, look, I did this. She's a mom of two. And she got all excited. She said, I want to buy this. So she bought a copy. And I wasn't thinking much of it. I said, I just did it for fun. And her kids loved it. Then one of my physician mom colleagues, she said she bought a copy. Her daughter doesn't like eating apples. And when she read the
Mm.
book, the first thing she did was grabbed an apple. And ever since then, she has been eating apples.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's that piece of it that made me realize, wow, I did something. It's kind of like in clinical medicine when you have a diagnosis and you feel like, wow, I did something. But this, I
Mhm.
felt, was even more greater than that because I really enjoyed the process, the creative piece, the creative voice as I was going along the process made me realize that we really need to get our kids learning from a stage where we don't think much of it. But for them, it really does matter. And that piece of it really mattered to me. There was this time my kid was, I believe, 2.5 or 3, I can't remember. I went to daycare to pick him up, and his teacher came to me and said, your son said something very funny. And every parent knows when a teacher tells you that, your heart basically just sinks like, oh my
Oh
God,
no.
oh no, what is it again? And that was exactly me. I just stood there frozen. And I said, what did he do? She said his friend was sitting with him eating a donut. And my son looked at him and said, that's processed. And she just hysterically started laughing. I said, okay, that wasn't too bad.
That's not too bad now.
But it's so funny that after that, the teacher was talking with other teachers, and they were like, "Oh, you wrote something." It's just, when you have your kids in daycare, the teachers kind of become your friends. So I actually got them a couple of copies just to keep in their classroom just for fun. It was just the learning curve, but also the piece that I really, really enjoyed the process. And which is why I decided to write more. My second book I wrote it's called The Spike. I call them all Nom Nom because my
Mhm.
child used to call food Nom Nom. So,
Mhm. Okay.
but then I have a subheading. So the first one was like Nom Nom. The second one is Nom Nom Spike. What I tried to teach him through that, and this is something I teach patients a lot, that if you're having a cookie, it has no fiber in it. So it's going to give you a sharp spike in your blood sugar and down. But let's say you have salad or an apple, then you have steady spike and down. So kind of trying to tell my kid that, look, the brownie is fine, but it's giving you a big roller coaster spike as you're eating it. So I tried to illustrate a roller coaster, again, kind of the creative piece of it. And then recently, the last one I wrote was actually on mindful eating. It's about a turtle who is eating food, but then also looking at the food, smelling the food, looking at the colors of the food, kind of teaching them, don't just eat food for the sake of eating food. You actually should enjoy it. You should experience your process of having a meal with your family or just in general.
Oh, I love that it's a turtle because turtles take things a little bit slower. You need to slow down and appreciate your food. Yeah. Oh, so you have followed your passion and it turns out it's having this ripple effect on the teachers and your kids, and now you're writing more books. And what would you say to the listener today who's has these creative ideas like you, but hasn't quite had the oomph to get started? What would you say to her?
I would say that the process is actually very simple. We make it hard for ourselves.
Mm,
We think of, if you think of a project, it's like, oh my God, there's so much involved in it. But really, like I said, as physicians, learning is very innate to us. And if we put our thought in it, it's kind of, how we studied for all these really difficult board exams. It's not as hard at all. We have done really difficult things. And there's so many resources now out there that you just need some time. And really, you should take some time for yourself. And that's a critical piece that physicians in general and physician moms in general really miss. And like I said, when I came out of my training and joined this job, I was burning out and not even realizing it. And the funny thing is, the people around you notice it, that something is wrong with this person. But you internally don't notice it because you're so busy thinking, I saw this patient today. I ordered that. Well, I don't know what's going on with them. I need to order. It's constantly on your mind. Even at 10 p.m., it's on your mind. And in my case, after 5 p.m., I'm picking the kids up from daycare, as it is for most moms. Your shift ends, but then your second shift starts. It's really important that we take a break from that. We disconnect ourselves briefly, despite all the love and care that we have for our kids. It's really important that we take those, even if it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we take it just selfishly for yourself because you need it. And it's that realization that I think I was 6 months into my job or so that I think I hit my peak of burnout. It was just too much for me. I started reaching out to people, other female physicians and kind of other physician moms, and learning from them. And that's the point where I realized that I'm not the only one. And it's oftentimes just getting out there and talking to people that I'm having these issues, I'm having this going on. What do I do? I feel as physicians, as trainees, as residents, as fellows, we don't learn that piece of saying that, hey, I'm tired. What do I do? And someone needs to actually knock some sense into us and say that I think you need to take a break. So for me, it was this piece of it. I always enjoyed writing. In general, I enjoyed writing, but I'd never done a children's book writing per se. And my child pulled me in that direction, and I really, really enjoy it. So I would really urge all physician moms out there to go out there and find your creative voice, whether it's through children's book, whether it's through writing or reading or podcasting. Doesn't matter. You need that. It's a very important piece for you because it actually plays, you may not think of it, but it plays a huge role in your child's life, in your family.
That is so beautifully said. I will just leave it right at that. All of your words of wisdom. Thank you for that. Where can people reach out to you? Where can they find your books?
So my books are actually all up on Amazon, the 3 books. I'm working on a 4th one as well. But again, it's more like about if I get time every now and then, I go on camera to play around with it.
Yeah.
But they're all on Amazon, but they're not under my actual name. My actual name is Farah Deshmukh. They're actually under Farah Merchant, which is actually my husband's last name. I didn't change my name after I got married. So if you just search Nam Nam Farah Merchant, it actually shows up. So yeah, that's where you can find it. And I'm very active on LinkedIn, so you can always reach out to me and message me if you want to get into the process and you're having trouble tweaking things and getting denied for dimensions of 0.0005. So I'm very happy to get on and help you.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I will put links in the show notes, in the footnotes, so that you can just click and go straight to your LinkedIn page, your Amazon links. And I think you mentioned you're on Instagram also. Is that right?
Yeah, so that is
Earlier.
actually, I do that more for patient education. It's called Rethink Health MD on Instagram. And I do that for my patients because I do obesity medicine nutrition, teaching them just basic things about nutrition, label reading, and things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, nutrition is kind of the big core of what I do, along with internal medicine, inpatient, outpatient. It's always been something I really enjoy, but I found a children's book component to it. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being my guest today. I love it.
Thank you for having me. It was so nice talking with you.
Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Inspired Mom MDs podcast. If this episode resonates with you, please share it with a friend who might benefit too. And I'd be so grateful if you left a review so other women can find me too. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn and explore free resources at inspiredmommds.com. And just a quick reminder, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and isn't a substitute for medical advice or care. I'm a board-certified physician, but this content isn't connected to my clinical practice, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed here. Please always talk to your own health professional about any mental or physical health concerns. And as always, take what helps and leave the rest. See InspiredMomMDs.com for full disclaimer.